But first things first, and Dom, you're probably, I mean, you're going to carry the load a little bit with All the President's Men. It was your idea to review it. But I almost feel like you're going to carry the load on this topic, too, because I think you're more of a Bond fan. I think most people are more of a Bond fan than I am.
Dude, not really, dude. I think Joe might have been the Bond fan around here. I need to rewatch but all the OG Sean Connery James Bond films. Because we should probably mention that why we're talking about that.
I was just gonna say we are talking about that, and I bring that up because we're gonna start the show. Hate starting shows like this, but we have to. Remembering Sean Connery, Sir Sean Connery, passed away at the age of 90 in his sleep on Saturday, and Connery has an enormous filmography, enormous, spans several decades, not much recently, but spanned several decades, and he was James Bond in 6 of the films, going back to the first film, Dr. No, all the way back in 1962, which is one of the very few Bond movies I personally have seen. I've never been big on James Bond. Maybe one day I'll revisit them, or I'll visit them actually for the first time. I've never been a big Bond fan, but you really didn't have to be a Bond fan to really know and love Sean Connery. Beyond Bond, he was opposite Michael Caine in The Man Who Would Be King. He was in Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusades. He was in The Hunt for Red October. My personal favorite film role that he ever did was The Untouchables, when he played Jimmy Malone, a very Chicago, broad-shouldered crime drama. I've always loved that one. But yeah, Sean Connery dead at 90 years old. How do you remember Sean Connery, Dom?
You know, funny enough, the first big Sean Connery feature that I remember was The Rock, because that came around with about how I think we were born by then, right? I forget, when did that come out?
90 was it 94? The Rock.
Was it?
I'm pretty. I think it.
96. 96.
My 90. Okay, so it was the year I was born.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of, I like how we're gonna sandwich tonight with Michael Bay films. In that respect,
we
kind of
are.
talking about that. But yeah, The Rock is probably my favorite not Sean Connery film, but Michael Bay film. Just because it just seems very tolerably made, but also ridiculous in many aspects. And my favorite line of many movies, it's up there in terms of my some of my favorite quotes, if I can only remember to say it right. But it's when Sean Connery tells to Nick Cage, or when Nick Cage says, how we're gonna get into Alcatraz, how are we gonna break in, how are we gonna do this, and he says, "All right, I'll do my best." And Sean Connery says, "Losers talk about doing their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen." So that's our F-bomb for tonight, and it's a good one at that.
That is good. It's fitting you bring that up too, because I had one of my favorite Sean Connery quotes over here was from The Untouchables when he says, "You want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way." And
He always delivered the best lines, dude.
You take a lot of pride, like The Untouchables. It's such a good film. Like I said, it's quintessentially Chicago, I like to say. Again, this broad-shoulder, sprawling gangster film. And it got Sean Connery an Oscar, too. Best Supporting Actor back in the day. I was kind of stunned to go on his filmography and read that his last 2 movie roles, he loaned his voice to an animated Scottish film called Sir Billy in 2012, along with a documentary called Ever to Excel in 2012. The last major film role he was in, would you believe how long ago this was 2003, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I remember that too. That's the last big one. And it's like, we missed out on 17 years of potential Sean Connery, which is amazing. Because I think after that he was done. He really just cared about independence for Scotland. If I'm correct, he said that he not fled, but he lived in the Bahamas for the rest of his life, I believe. And he said that he would not return to the UK until Scotland was independent. And I'm not sure if he ever followed up on that and if that's true, if he actually wound up holding up to that word. But I remember that he was a big Scottish independent proponent.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that was the last thing he did, and that was a big bomb of a movie. Let's just put it this way: if you don't remember the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, there's a reason there's no the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 2. That's pretty much the case there. That was an eviscerated
I hear that
superhero film back in '03.
I hear the graphic novel is actually pretty good, or at least decent. It's just that film, that, and I think along with Mystery Men, remember that the actual movie that goes with All Star. Not that Sean Connery makes an appearance there, but that was kind of like they came out at around the same time. No, Mystery Men came out a little earlier, but for some reason
that was '98.
Okay,
that was '98.
For whatever reason, I conflate the two. I don't know why, but regardless, that is just. It was a weird time for superhero movies in particular. I guess I'll mention that, and that's what League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was. It was just kind of an Avengers-esque buddy superhero movie, and they hadn't figured it out yet. This was obviously before the MCU, well before, and yeah. So if anything, I would
before a quality standard was established for the genre,
right? Or at least people could just figure it out. I guess you could argue Batman, but I'll even hold my tongue on that. But yeah, dude, it really just comes back around to a lot of films in his pocket. I don't know. Have you ever seen Highlander?
I've not.
I have not. All I hear is the quote, "There can be only one." But I think that's the thing we need to put on our list. Maybe not as a required viewing, but just something to look back on.
Down the road, I'll make a note of it.
There you go. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think that's my personal favorite performance by him, and his chemistry with Harrison Ford, and his annoying dad portrayal in that movie was just absolutely perfect. I still remember like how weird it was that when they were stuck on the beach, him and Indy were stuck on the beach, and the German airplane was about to strafe them. I was like, well, how the hell are we gonna get out of this one? And then he takes Sean Connery as the dad takes the umbrella and just starts like scaring the birds to get them. I thought that was the smartest thing, probably impossible, but the smartest thing I had seen, making that weird noise. He was like, tuk, 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 tuk. I was like, where is this going? And only Sean Connery, I think, could have pulled that off to that degree. It was great.
That's a good way to leave it off. Rest in peace, Sean Connery. Passed away.
I'm sorry. Hunt for Red October was another good one. Hunt for Red October was excellent, and his like Scottish Russian accent was weirdly perfect in that movie.
Yeah, I remember that. That's been years since I've seen that film, but I do remember that the odd accent, and it was so good nobody talked about it. Like nobody really mentions that as a criticism. It was just so good. The movie's good, and he was good, and we just brushed it off.
Yeah, my favorite scene in that one has to be in Hunt for Red October is when they start singing the Soviet national anthem, and it starts off with like the crew doing it naturally, and it's like it's not good because they're not singers, they're sailors. But then eventually, like the Russian choir out of nowhere, like the Red Army choir joins in, and it becomes the greatest performance of the Soviet national anthem ever. And there's Sean Connery at the helm, hand behind his back, secretly about to defect. Spoilers for Hunt for Red October, but yeah. Anyway.
I have to go back and revisit that one.
It's a good one.
Many years since I've seen it, but I do remember it. That takes me back, and I enjoyed that.